To Live on 5 at half past the hour. Welcome.
We have something very special for you in the next half hour, as Live on 5 is paid a visit by the Phantom of the Opera.
In all your fantasies, you always knew that man and mystery
were both in you.
And in this labyrinth where night is blind, the Phantom of the Opera is there inside my mind.
Ah, yes, the Phantom of the Opera opened at the State Theater in Playhouse Square last Wednesday night for an incredible sold-out run that will last until June 19th.
And if you don't have a ticket for the show, or even if you do, this next half hour will take you behind the scenes of this spectacle, and we will even unmask the Phantom himself.
We sure will. But we begin, first of all, with those who've seen the show. News Channel 5 reporter Bill Shields says that some Clevelanders were left breathless by the performance.
It is at once majestic.
No more talk of darkness.
And it is so tender. A gentle, almost brittle love story. Romeo and Juliet and Beauty and the Beast.
Turn your face away from
The Phantom is based on an obscure early 20th century novel. From that, Andrew Lloyd Webber has written a haunting musical score that touches your soul. With the music as its heart, the story is told through lyrics that resemble poetry, and the show combines dazzling costumes and special effects. Phantom of the Opera has become the defining theater of our time, and now it has come to Cleveland.
Phantom of the Opera, souvenir programs.
As people file in, we want to know what they expect. Bill Darling brought his whole family, or actually the kids brought mom and dad.
Believe it or not, they're the ones that really wanted to come. They want to go to Toronto.
Both Jacqueline and Jerome were looking forward to what the actors would wear.
A whole bunch of costumes and pretty ones.
Dolores Ellis expected the show to move her.
I think so. I think it will. And I can't wait to see it.
Marie Snyder thought she'd see a love story.
Well, I hope so. Maybe I can learn something. I'm a widow.
Erwin Weiss had seen Phantom before, but his wife and daughter hadn't.
I shock him. I say when I walked out of it, I was in tears.
From what his descriptions are, I can't wait to get in there.
Do you think he could oversell it?
I don't think you can oversell Phantom.
With that, they go in. The Phantom takes the stage in Cleveland about the time day turns into night. To see this live is to experience something rare. And when it's over...
Was it everything I told you it was?
It was more than what he told me it was. And
it really was marvelous.
I'm late because I'm drying my tears. It was wonderful.
Now, you told me you thought you might be able to learn something from this.
I did. I could have a Phantom.
The costumes lived up to expectations.
They were great. Unlike whatever I've seen before.
Are you glad you dragged Mom and Dad here?
Yeah.
And some people were moved almost beyond words.
Boy, I just can't, words can't say how I tried. It was good. It was really good.
Each time I've walked out of Phantom of the Opera, it's like I can literally hear the music in the air. You feel as though you've shared something special with those you've seen it with. And also that you've learned. You see, in this play, at the end, the Phantom doesn't get the girl. But that's part of the lesson, too. Sometimes in life, when we love someone the most, it is when we are willing, even if we don't want to let them go. Bill Shield, News Channel 5.
Well, for those who are lucky enough to have a ticket to the Phantom, all they really see, of course, is what takes place on the stage.
But the production behind the production is really something to see as well. As News Channel 5 reporter Alan DePietro explains to us now, putting the magic into the Phantom's performance takes a lot of hard work.
Before any of the 200,000 theater goers in Cleveland hear a single cymbal clash, before they see the spectacle of the Phantom production, nearly 4 weeks' work must be done on the stage of the State Theater. It takes a small army to mount what is called the most spectacular theatrical production on world stages today.
And there will be 120 people running this show, approximately, give or take 10, 15. That includes everybody, the local crew, the wardrobe. There are only 36 actors in the show, but there are 230 costumes, and somebody's got to wear them, and somebody's got to change them. So there are enormous change areas.
Fortunately, the stage of the state is large enough to handle all, including the proscenium, made to resemble the Paris Opera House. The full-figured bodies that adorn the proscenium are made of molded plastic, and the production stage is actually built 9 inches high over the State Theater stage itself. Inside that 9 inches are hidden hundreds of candles, and many people ask, is there actually water on stage?
That's not so. It's a good effect. Looks like water, but it's not water.
And how do you create that illusion?
With about 550 pounds of dry ice every night.
That's correct. Each and every production of the Phantom utilizes 550 pounds of dry ice. It is trucked up from Akron weekly. And just how much does 550 pounds of dry ice cost? Well, it costs about $275. That's how much. Besides work for local stagehands, the Phantom also means work for Cleveland area musicians.
There are 28 musicians. We travel with 3 of them, so everybody else is picked up locally. There will be 25 from Cleveland.
What a production, including a live elephant on stage, a chandelier that's 10 feet high, nearly 3,000 yards of fabric and drapes. Why, it's something to certainly sing about. Alan DePietro, News Channel 5.
So far, you have seen glimpses of the 2 lead actors in this performance of the Phantom of the Opera, but when we come back, we're going to be talking with them live.
We'll meet the man behind the mask and the woman the Phantom just has to have. Stay with us as we continue with a very special Live on 5.
Who builds the best?
Hello? The Ameritech calling card and complete MasterCard, the cards you can always call on. Ameritech, your link to a better life.
The 2 lead actors who star in The Phantom of the Opera have really impressive acting backgrounds, but it's safe to say that no roles they've played are like these. Rick Hilseback plays the Phantom and Terry Bibb is Christine. We're going to talk with both of them in just a minute, but first of all, here's Rick as the Phantom of the Opera.
Slowly, gently, night unfurls its splendor. Grasp it, sense it, tremulous and tender. Turn your face away from the garish light of day. Turn your thoughts away from cold, unfeeling light, and listen to the music of the night.
Isn't that wonderful? Rick Hilseback and Terry Bibb join us today live on 5. Welcome to Cleveland. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having us.
So good to have you here. You didn't have to do this. There's no tickets to be sold. You can't find a ticket. You can't dig up a ticket. The show is just sold
There are
out.
a few left. Limited view.
Right.
And,
some of the box seats off on the sides, which are actually pretty good seats.
yeah, good value, too, for $15, I
Oh, well,
believe.
that's good to know.
And
All
there's
right.
also an Actors Fund benefit performance on June 2nd, right?
That they just announced.
Just
they just
announced,
released the
so-
seats for those, so they can be had as well.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good to know.
All hope is not lost.
Right.
All right. So just keep your chin up. It might happen. This is not your first time in The Phantom of the Opera. You played another role beforehand, didn't you?
Yes, I've been involved with the production, our particular national company, since the beginning, which was almost 3 years ago. And I played the role of Mr. Andre, the opera manager. And so to have the privilege to be playing the role of the Phantom now is of course, very, very different, and I don't see anybody anymore, but I know everybody very well.
Describe the feeling, if you even can, of the first time behind the mask, if you will, and performing.
Well, it's quite an exhilarating experience. It's like nothing I could ever anticipate. It's after a year of understudying the role and playing it in rehearsals. There's nothing that can recreate that. I described it once as it feels like you're going 500 miles an hour and everybody is moving very slowly around you, and it's quite a feeling.
Terry, the road to this coveted role of Christine, in a nutshell, was it difficult to get this role? Were you just
difficult.
always...
It was a long time in coming. I knew when the Broadway company was first starting its auditions back in '88 that it was something that I really wanted to be a part of. But it was about two and a half years before I could finally get an audition for the people that I really needed to be seen by. And this was after countless open calls, standing in line with 200-300 sopranos all screeching at the top of our lungs. And finally I had an audition at the Majestic on stage with the chandelier just sitting there in front of me. And 2 days later I had a call back for the director, Harold Prince, in his office. And at that audition I sang about half a song, and he said, "Oh, she's wonderful. Where have you been?"
Oh, isn't that... Why don't we take a look and a listen, if we will? This is what he heard.
Talk of summertime. Say you need me with you now and always. Promise me that all you say is true. That's all I ask of you.
That's wonderful. Terry, you've been in other musicals, Guys and Dolls, West Side Story. What is it, do you think, about the Phantom that sets it apart?
I think there are so many things about it. I think ultimately, well, I find that every musical I've done has a special place in my heart. They all have their special things that appeal to you. I think as far as the public phenomenon that Phantom has become, I think it is a combination of the beautiful love story that they draw so close to their hearts. Also, Hal Prince's brilliant direction and Maria Bjornsson's beautiful, breathtaking sets. I think it just transports people to another world.
Can I point out something, and I don't mean to embarrass you, Rick, but in your bio, there was one lovely line that touched me. I'm a romantic, and when I read this, I thought, isn't that wonderful? You had, thank my wife and my family for their constant support and encouragement.
Yes.
Has the road to this success been very difficult? Can you even remember at this point, when here you are, the Phantom now, when it was difficult and you never knew what was next, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, the career in this type of business never goes the way you have it planned and never follows that outline. Everybody likes to have that, you have your goals, and certainly to be able to play this kind of role has been always a dream of mine, and I finally have had the chance now. But along the way, I got sidetracked into an area of the business in dancing, which I never thought that I would take part in, and I did that for a much longer period of time than I thought that I would. So it never happens the way you plan it. But thank goodness I had wonderful support, like I said, through my great wife who dances in the show, and also through my great parents who supported me all along the way.
Good to have you both here, and I'm sure it's wonderful to work together as well, isn't it?
She's
We're
terrific.
having a great time.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it. Welcome to Cleveland, and welcome the Phantom as well.
Thank you.
Rick Hilsebeck, who is the Phantom of the Opera, and Terry Bibb, Christine. Thank you both.
Thanks very much.
Let's go back now over to the news desk.
Well, if you're familiar with the story of the Phantom of the Opera, you know it's really a love triangle. You'll meet the third actor who makes up this part of the story when Live on 5 returns.
You know what they
Matt Chandler, who himself has a strong opera background. Here he is as Raoul.
No more talk of darkness, forget these wide-eyed fears. I'm here, nothing can harm you. My words will warm and calm you. Let me be your freedom. Let daylight dry your tears. I'm here with you, beside you, to guard you and to guide you.
Nat Chandler joins us today live on 5 to talk about his role in the Phantom of the Opera. You saw, I hope, some of the reactions of the people coming out.
Yeah, we saw a little of that from
the piece that we ran before.
Yeah.
That must just make you feel wonderful, 10 feet tall.
Well, it does make me feel good. It means we're doing our jobs the way we should be.
How do you explain it? I suppose that's the answer, the question that can't be answered. But...
Well, it is a wonderful love story and a love triangle, and to some people, Raoul is a hero. To others, he's not a hero, depending on how you're looking at the story. But at the end of the show, there should be a real pull to, should Christine stay with the Phantom, or should she be allowed to go with Raoul? And if we've got people up in arms about the whole thing, we're doing our job.
It's interesting that you would talk about how people view the show. I suppose they view it a little differently. Do they view it differently every night? Do you sense that?
Well, yes, somewhat. Sometimes they're up on their feet immediately and screaming, and other times they're a little slower to, you know, every audience is slightly different. But we do get amazing support from our audiences, and that's a really wonderful thing about this show.
You have, as I said, an operatic background.
Yeah.
Is this easy music for an opera singer, or do you still consider yourself an opera singer?
Well, I cross over. I have done some operatic roles, and this is a demanding singing role. I really consider myself a singing actor, and this is a wonderful singing role. The soaring melodies of Andrew Lloyd Webber, I really feel lucky to be singing, and it is demanding. And the 8-show-a-week schedule is very demanding for.
You were telling me before we went on, there are 9 companies worldwide of the Phantom now.
Approximately, yeah. I think there are 1 or 2 in Australia. There are 3 or 4 in Europe. There are 3 in this country, a Canadian company, and who knows, you know, when the Mexican City company is going to be opening up.
What makes this one the best?
You told on me.
Yes.
I think that this company in particular, I think the different companies have their strengths, but certainly this company is very musical. They're very loyal to Andrew Lloyd Webber's music, the music that he writes. The chorus is great. I've not heard a Phantom masquerade number like our company sings it. So that makes us special, at least.
Well, Nat, I think your enthusiasm shines through. You certainly are thrilling Cleveland audiences. Welcome to Cleveland. Hope it's a wonderful run for you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Roy.
Nat Chandler, our guest. Let's go back now to Wilma.
Besides the haunting music in the Phantom of the Opera, you've probably noticed the incredible costumes. An up-close look at that for you when Live on 5 returns.
If you're thinking about selling your home, think RE/MAX. RE/MAX is the real estate leader in cities and towns across the continent. Look for RE/MAX out in front.
Only Finest gives you so many ways to save, like weekly values, bulk items, value packs,
and savings on all varieties of Minute Maid Premium Choice Orange Juice, only $1.69. Tidy Scoop Cat Box Filler, just $2.98. And during our steak sale, value packs of T-bone or semi-boneless strip steaks are just $3.98 per pound.
Finest, your store for all the finest reasons, including more ways to save.
Shop the import sports sedans recently? Time for a reality check. $1,500 cash back on any new Grand Am sports sedan at your 49 Northern Ohio Pontiac dealers. Your reality check gets you standard anti-lock brakes and even free 24-hour roadside assistance. Plus, it gets you the excitement of Grand Am for thousands less than the imports. Don't let reality pass you by. Get the reality check from your 49 Northern Ohio Pontiac dealers today.
Baker Square salutes America's favorites. For a limited time, we're serving burgers the Baker's way. Fresh creations like our Texas Ranch, our Coney Island style, and our totally awesome Californian, each with fries and one of these pies. It's all just $5.95 at lunch and $6.95 at dinner at Baker Square, where everything comes fresh with a baker's touch. Burgers, fries, and pie. Is this a great country or what?
Experience the power of femininity. Oscar de la Renta.
This floral pouch with parfum, Super Activate Treatment Concentrate, and body bath is your gift with any $40 Oscar de la Renta fragrance purchase. Available at Dillard's.
Faye Dunaway is the Beverly Hills Madam, Saturday at 11:30.
Well, besides sounding so good, the cast members of the Phantom of the Opera look pretty good as well.
But did you know it's an Ohio man who has the 36 cast members looking just right? David Moss has that story.
There are millions of people from all over the world who've enjoyed the energy and excitement of Phantom of the Opera from the audience, from their theater chair. But few of those people realize that sometimes there's more action and activity backstage than there is on stage, like here in the quick change room. Of course, the quick change room means quick changing, and Michael Hanna from Ohio is the man who brings the stars in here. And how'd you make it here?
Well, I started out in Dayton, Ohio by way of New York City, and we traveled here in 28 trucks with this show.
And tell me about the height of the fury in here when you're in this little quick change room, and what happens all at once?
Well, there are certain times when there are at least 15 people in this room, the actresses, the dressers, the hairdressers, and they're all trying to get dressed and out onto the stage at one time, and it's tough. We have to almost choreograph it as much as they choreograph what goes on stage.
You know, you think you get tangled up or you come out wearing the wrong clothes or something like that?
There was a time when we first started when the actors kept continually during masquerade getting tangled up, and we had to go up on the stairs and untangle them and keep going on with the show.
And you hear that term all the time, let's go out and pick up a girl or whatever. I bet there's some guys who have a hard time picking up
I
one
would
of these
think so.
dresses.
I would think so. We have one dress in the show that starts out the opera Hannibal that weighs 75 pounds.
This dress is magnificent.
Thank you. This dress is worn by Carlotta in the beginning of Hannibal, and it weighs 75 pounds.
Unbelievable. How many layers are in here? Jewels, everything.
Oh, yeah, mostly jewels. They're all glass, and that's why it weighs 75 pounds.
Now, is this the same dress you'd see in New York City?
Oh, yeah. All the
London?
costumes are exact replicas of the same. They didn't spare any expense on this show.
So it would cost how much to buy this for, say, my wife?
Oh, all right. Well, I can't tell you that specifically, but you could buy a really good sports car for what this dress costs.
Thank you for not telling me the truth. Why don't we take a look at the Phantom stuff?
Well, his stuff is actually not the most elaborate, but he has one costume that's my favorite, his masquerade costume.
You are right. No wonder this guy's the star of the show.
Well, this is his most elaborate costume, and he only wears it for 5 minutes in the 2.5-hour show.
That's incredible. So I guess you have to say it's the clothes that make the man?
Well, in this case, it's the mask that makes the Phantom.
The mask that makes the Phantom. From Backstage, I'm David Moss, News Channel 5. Thank you very much, Michael. And maybe a mask for me might help me a little bit, huh?
Maybe a full mask.
Thanks a lot.
All right, David. One more fact for you. The costumes in the show represent 5 different eras in time.
Wonderful, wonderful show. Hope you've enjoyed our behind-the-scenes look at Phantom of the Opera. Thanks for being with us this evening. We'll look for you back here on Live on 5 tomorrow.
Make it a good evening, and stay tuned now as the news